everyone. Welcome back to another incredible episode of Beyond the Trailhead. This week is a great week. We've got Joe with FarPointe. How are you doing, Joe?
Good. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, really excited.
Caught you mid-sip, sorry.
No, it's all right.
Awesome. Well, wanted to have you on. I know we didn't really meet too much, but it was at Trail Days. I saw your gear and saw everything and loved it. And then we kind of reached out and chatted a little bit more about having you on and just talking about the gear that you have. I'm repping a little bit of it right now as well. And I see a ton of people on trail everywhere, especially on the AT. I see it all over the place, but I see it everywhere now. And people are really into this type of wear when it comes to the trail. So I guess if you can just go right into like what who you are, what FarPointe is, and how you kind of got into what you do, and then exactly what it is I'm wearing.
Yeah. So FarPointe is a small company. We're based out in Oregon, on the Oregon coast in Newport. We do 100% of our products are made in-house, and it's been that way since the start. We've been in business since 2021, where initially I started. I was working out of my garage for the first couple of years, and it was just me for the first year doing all the sewing
Mhm.
and cutting. And then the second year, I brought on this woman, Yusha, who's been with me. She's still with me, and she's really amazing. And she makes
Yeah,
the absolute best kimchi I've ever had. Um, yeah, she's fantastic. A total machine too with work wise.
yeah,
Yeah, she just yeah, she's great. Um,
that's
yeah, we
awesome.
got a small team of like 8, and so we specialize in ultralight fleece and ultralight clothing. We make sunwear, but mainly fleece. We started with Alpha Direct, and so back in 21, a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, let's hike the Colorado Trail." And at the time, I just started getting into hiking in the PNW, and I was
Mhm.
really excited to do it. So we went out there, and I had this old um, military beanie that I wore the whole time. It's like a traditional 200 weight fleece, pretty much what you see like
Yeah.
Patagonia chinchilla made out of. And so when I got back, I had seen Alpha Direct on Reddit. Cinchi was just starting to do some sales, and I saw a MacPack Nitro, which was my first Alpha hoodie. And so I bought a used one on Reddit, and I loved the fabric. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and so I bought a couple yards of the Alpha, and I bought a small little sewing machine. It was like that big. It was tiny. Um, it was pretty funny. And I made some patterns for this like 4-panel beanie. So it'd have like two, one stripe, and then, the brim. And I think I got like a dozen of them, sold them on Reddit, um, which took off. I did like 4, maybe 5 sales on Reddit, which would have like,
Mhm.
I don't know, 2 dozen items, including hoodies. I started making hoodies at that point. And then, yeah, started taking custom orders, which was really fun. If you look back on our Instagram, you could see a lot of the custom work. Um,
Yeah.
but I quickly realized I was like, this can't keep up with this. So went strictly to just stock stuff, and
Yeah.
started making pants. Um, yeah, and right off the bat, I thought sunwear. I definitely wanted to get involved in sunwear, and so we were making sun hoodies back in like 21. And I remember a lot of people being like, "Oh, merino isn't for hot weather," or like, "Why would you do a sun hoodie when you could do a button up?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"No, the sun hoodie's the way to go." And it's funny because
Mhm.
it's like everyone's making sun hoodies now, but yeah, I've always loved the sun hoodie, and I always like completely
Yeah.
cover up when I'm in the sun when I'm out hiking.
Yeah.
I hate sunscreen, but baby bum on my face and hands, and yeah, yeah. Merino is
Yeah.
awesome too.
No.
Merino is uh people say, "Oh, merino's just for hot weather or just for cold weather," but no, merino is like a temperature regulating fabric. It does really well in big swings of temps, and yeah, and it you can see it
y-
now. A lot of companies are getting involved with merino, so it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I see a ton of people like you said, like everybody's kind of in the thing now making these and stuff like that. But you kind of alluded to like, you made custom stuff before. And
Hmm.
I know I usually go into more about the history of everything with you, but I think just hearing what you said about like you were doing custom stuff and now it's like, okay, I realize that that takes a lot more work, and it's great that you can order custom. I know some other people do custom stuff, but in order to really grow, you probably say, okay, I have to, in order to make money, in order to grow my company, I'm going to have to just go with pre-done stuff. And you got a lot of great patterns and stuff already on the site and stock. So you're in
Thank
touch
you.
with it. I saw like there's like an AT version that's out
Yeah.
there and stuff like that. So what's the difference between going from, I guess just jump right into like what's the difference between going from custom to doing like stuff that you can only order direct?
So the typical route is going to be sourcing, material sourcing, and then working with factories and pretty much doing a cut and sew factory, which they would require. It's called a tech pack. And so you usually work with
Hmm.
someone who would develop a tech pack for you. You send it to a factory. The factory sends you a sample for you to approve, and then they start production. Um, I never went there, and I think the big reason was when I had hiked the Colorado Trail, I actually road tripped. I went to Chicago where my family is, and then we road tripped. My mom, me,
Yeah.
and brother road trip back here to Oregon, and on the way back, we stopped at Melanzana, and I was waiting in this line for like an hour, and you could see inside. They do in-house production as well, and
Hmm.
and it was very inspiring. And I was like, man, this is the way to do it. You got a small team. You're taking care of you're in your community, taking care of this small team of people.
Yeah.
Um, you always have eyes on production, always have eyes on quality control. And so when I got back, I knew that was the route I wanted to go. It is
Yeah.
it is a really unique route, and for anyone who is thinking about getting into the clothing industry, it's not your typical route. Um, but if you can make it work, I know I've talked to some other um, clothing company owners, and they said they tried it and it just wasn't working, and so they switched over to cut and sew, which is it's great. But if you can make it work, I think it's really awesome. You know, we do like a quarterly party. Every birthday party, everyone's birthday, we do a birthday party. So we get like lunch, and then they get the
Yeah.
option if they want their birthday off, which I always loved. Um, yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it definitely takes a lot of time and um, just a lot of dialing in stuff. Initially, like I said,
Yeah.
that machine was like this big, and now we've got um, over a dozen industrial machines, bunch of sergers,
Yeah.
cover stitch, straight stitch, zigzag. Our most recent machine is a cylinder bed cover stitch, and we apply our elastic to our pants with it. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but it's a unique route, but I think it's really worth it. I think it's an awesome setup, and it's fun because when you buy FarPointe, you're directly supporting a small team of people
Yeah.
that made your product. So
Yeah. No, that's great to hear that you're doing it locally that way too. Because I think sometimes people think when a company grows, they immediately go overseas. And again, there's nothing wrong with going overseas. It's just they're like, hey, I like this method, and it works for me. And some people are like, I'd rather just go overseas. There might be a little more communication stuff that goes on there, and everything. You might be actually saving more going overseas in some
oh
regard,
yeah.
but then you have that family and stuff like that. Go ahead.
No, yeah, like you said, the margins are the margins overseas are way bigger, and I mean, but
Yeah.
also your MOQ, your minimum order quantities are much larger too. So it is scaling can be
Yeah.
really big with that. And then um, I was watching your video, your interview with Dan Durston. He was talking about cash flow. That also becomes
Mhm.
very critical if you start to work overseas or with a factory because there's a lot of money up
Yeah.
front and then there's a lot of waiting. Um, we're doing small batch turnarounds every month, and yeah,
Yeah.
it helps with cash flow. It's nice, but then also
Yeah.
yeah, payroll. So you gotta keep ahead of it, which is yeah.
Yeah. No, I always go back to like I used to want to grow my business and I was like, well, I'll bring on some more photographers and everything. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stay boutique-y. I think certain growth patterns are good for some people. They know how to handle it or they want to handle it. And other people are like, you know what, I just want to stay. There's nothing wrong with staying small and doing it yourself. Right. But then it's also great when you can you're putting back in, like you have your team, like you're like, oh, she makes great kimchi, like you know your team so well that you just one big family. I think that's really, really cool. So going back to the beginning of when you started. So I guess from when did you go from doing it yourself and doing custom? How long were you doing that before you were like, okay, I got to make the switch?
Um, just about 3 years ago is when we went from the garage to a large shop space, which was kind of
Yeah.
funny because at the time I was living in Newport. Me and my girlfriend at the time we were renting um, one side of a duplex, and directly
Yeah.
next door was this huge shop factory with 3 units, and
Yeah.
the middle unit opened up for rent, and so yeah, I went in and talked to Bill Mulder, who's a really wonderful guy. And he was like, "Yeah, we can rent it to you." I had my LLC by that time, so which was really
Yeah.
important if you're trying to rent like a retail space. But yeah, he said, "Yeah, we could do that. It's a three-year contract." And so that was easily my biggest commitment at the time. I had called my dad and asked him about it. Should I sign this lease, 3-year lease? It's a big commitment. And he said, "Yeah, go for it. Um, you won't even notice. It'll just go by so fast." And then we just re-signed last month for another 3 years. They wanted to do 5, but I was like, let's keep it to 3. Let's see
Yeah.
where we're at in 3 more years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, it worked out really well.
Yeah.
We had as soon as we got into the shop, we had brought on this woman Megan, and she helped me set up payroll, and I started doing interviews, which was kind of funny because I had worked in like management positions, but like valet where I was parking cars in Chicago,
Yeah.
nothing like production. And so that was a bit of a trial and error, hiring people and having to let some people go because they just weren't the right fit. Um, Getting people trained up and then them realizing, oh, I can't stand sewing all day long. Uh,
Yeah.
so so they take off, which happens. But yeah, we got
Yeah.
a really good crew right now, and yeah, so it's part of it. It's part of the difficulties of running your own production facility.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's all worth it. And like we were saying,
Yeah.
you know, overseas, even even domestic cut and sews can offer a bit better on the margins, but it's never. I mean, it's never really been about that. It's always I've been like obsessed with fabrics and fabric properties and how they perform
Yeah.
for a long time. Um, Even before hiking the CT, I dove real deep into hemp fabric. I've always loved hemp, and yeah, so it's always the whole journey's been about making awesome clothes and then going out and testing it out and seeing how
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I had seen an Alpha Direct sleeping bag, like inner liner on a sleeping bag or a quilt, like just maybe recently or like maybe 6 months ago, and I was like, oh, that would feel so good
Yeah.
on the inside of the bag as opposed to like my skin sticking to everything all the time. Um, so when you were saying like you started growing and getting people, what's the biggest headache, for people who are listening, what's the biggest headache you found? Maybe you already alluded to it a little bit, but when you're starting to grow your business and you're hiring staff, you just kind of said like, some people just realize I just can't sew all day, or this isn't for me, or maybe they're just not have a good work ethic. Like, what was the biggest headache hiring staff for the first time, especially just running your own business?
Um, Honestly, the biggest headache was like being like, "Oh, we just gotta get staff in here," and so someone would come in and for an interview, and you're like, maybe not the best fit, but we need someone, so let's hire them on."
Yeah,
And then, you go through 2, 3 weeks with them, and you're like, "Yeah, they just aren't a good fit." And so,
yeah,
yeah, instead of not rushing it with hiring people, especially if your gut feeling's like, "Yeah, this isn't gonna work," 'cause then all you're doing is you're just kinda wasting money, wasting their time, wasting your time.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and so, yeah, once you have, like, an established team, obviously, you can be a little bit more choosy with who you're gonna bring on now. Like,
yeah,
we just had someone she's moving on, going to college, out of town, and so she just put in her 2 weeks. She's been really great, though, and so
yeah,
she's like, "Oh, you can hire my friend," and I was like, "Well, if we hire someone again, we're gonna definitely want them to have, like, industrial sewing experience at this point."
yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
yeah, and training
No,
is
it's interesting.
fine. You can train people, on machines, especially like a serger. That's definitely the place to start with training. And Alpha Direct surges up really easy. Like, um, an MYOG hoodie, Alpha Direct it's easy to work with. Your hardest part is gonna
Yeah,
be making a pattern, but, you can just copy a sweater that's really comfortable.
yeah,
Try to think about the stretch. The stretch on Alpha is a bit minimal, and so you wanna add a little
yeah,
bit usually, but yeah.
yeah.
Training people on a surge
No,
is
that's
nice.
cool.
It's a good way to start.
Yeah. Yeah, when you say, like, getting staff, I think if you're not really good at if you're if you're not a people person, or you are, it's just you just don't have the heart to kind of let go people sometimes, it can be a detriment to you, right? Because you hire somebody and then you're like, "Man, I just can't have them on," but you just don't have the heart to let them go. I had an assistant for a while, and I just didn't have the heart to kinda let them go, and it was just like I was doing all the work at the photo shoots I was doing, and I was like, "What are they," other than holding a light for me, I was like, "What are they really doing here?" They're not doing
Yeah.
anything, they're not proactively doing anything, and then finally I was like, "Okay, listen, before I blow up, I'm gonna go ahead and, like, have a sit down and go, 'Hey,
Yeah.
this is great,'" but sometimes I think sometimes you can think as a business owner, you can kinda think, "Is it something that I'm doing instead of is it something that they're doing wrong?" Like,
Oh,
and maybe I'm
totally.
not training them properly. So you try again and you try again, and then you go, wait, actually, maybe it is them. Maybe I need to let them
Yeah.
go and let them go in a nice way, um, but no, that's great insight into the whole thing. I guess going into the actual material and stuff itself, I see it all the time. Um, I we just had Ripstop by the Roll on. We just had Jameis on from their marketing team, just talking a little bit about materials and everything else. So when you started and you were kind of getting into material, were you like super nerding out on materials
Oh, yeah.
when you started, or were you just like, I know you kind of get in depth, right? So kind of run through like what your process was. Did you run through a bunch of different materials, or did you just start right away with this?
No, so, um, yeah, Alpha Direct was pretty fresh on the market at the time. Only since she was really doing it, and his name's Ryan, and I think he was still doing all the production himself, and so it was really
Yeah,
small, limited batches that he was selling on Reddit. And so I started selling stuff on Reddit too, and it worked out really well. I
yeah,
think we're like number 2 as far as, like, involved with Alpha Direct in the cottage world.
yeah,
We were, like, we were early in the game, and, which worked out really well because there's a lot more companies now working with it because it's such a fantastic fabric. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I initially worked with Alpha 90 and 60 weight, and at the time, the 120 weight was difficult to find, and I didn't even realize there was a 190 weight, um, which is nice as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, Alpha was it for at least the first 2 years, and then I found, Tejan Octa, and I tried working with Octa for a bit, and it just wasn't performing as I had hoped, and so I kinda
Yeah.
phased Octa out. We worked with it for a little while, and there's variants of Octa as well, but I think we worked with one that was similar to, like, a 90 weight Alpha, and some people do like it 'cause in the face. It doesn't snag as easily. It's not
Okay.
so brutal if Velcro touches it, it's not gonna absolutely destroy it like Alpha.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, the Octa, what it what what it really was for me is we've worked with Steven Zieber from Backpacking Light, and he does
Okay.
um, real like scientific testing of fabric. So he'll do like thermal testing, he'll do wetting out testing, and he had told me that when Alpha, if you completely wet out Alpha and Octa, by the time Alpha is dry, Octa is just starting to dry. And so that when he told me that, I was like, okay, I think
Yeah.
we're just gonna cut Octa out. Um,
Yeah.
and so and so for a while, I'm always looking for new fabrics. I love testing new fabrics. Usually jersey fabrics are the easiest to test. Different merino blends, different hemp blends.
Yeah.
This actually, what I'm wearing right here is dead stock Appalachian Gear Company fabric I had bought. I think I bought it on on eBay, and then I just cut it out of our Alpha Cruiser, and made
Yeah.
like a sun hood with it. It's a fantastic fabric, and I absolutely
Yeah.
loved App Gear Co. when they were around. Um,
Yeah.
and hopefully one day they do come back. I know I had talked with the owner a little bit
Yeah.
online, um, but that was proprietary technical fabric that you don't really see. You see a lot of alpaca clothing, but it has a very like traditional looking weave. Um,
Yeah.
App Gear Co. was a very technical um,
Yeah. I
weave.
have
Yeah,
I have like one of their sun hoodies, and then I have like a t-shirt uh that they had, and I did my first couple of hikes. Or not my first couple of hikes, couple hikes a few years ago in it. And I was like, man, and then I was like, oh, they're gone. No.
yeah, I know. Like overnight too. It was real quiet.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's too bad.
So
Um,
um
but
so I just got back from um was it the North Cascades and hiking there, and my friend, he swears by, like, I always wear a sun hoodie, kind of like you said, like I'm always fully covered. You walk by
yeah,
people, it's funny, as hikers, there's tons of people that hike and they all have sun hoodies, but you see other people and they look at you and go, why are you covered up? You must be so hot. But I don't think
yeah.
people realize, like you were kind of talking about earlier, the thermal properties of Alpha Direct are so crazy that I didn't even think about, maybe I should have worn this out there, even though it was like really, really, really hot. I wore my like ultra really thin. I don't remember what what the material was. It's just something I always wear when I'm out there that I always know. But kind of what are the temperature ranges of Alpha Direct for people who are listening who are not necessarily in the industry, but just people who love sun hoodies and stuff like that, who are like, oh, I didn't realize I can wear this in this type of temperature.
Yeah, so Alpha, actually, I'd only recommend Alpha for like colder weather, or like
Yeah.
around camp. But as far as like,
Yeah.
so like again, this is like definitely personal preference on temperatures. Like I run
Yeah.
really hot, so I can get away with like a 50-degree bag. But yeah, Alpha's great for like a chilly morning start, or if you're
Yeah.
hanging at camp, you can wear it underneath your rain gear. It, some people say it can, some people say it can't, but it can replace a um, like a down jacket or jacket,
Yeah.
especially do what's called a FarPointe Duo. So it's a two-layer 60 GSM Alpha hoodie. We're making a full zip or just a hoodie version. That combined with a rain jacket definitely feels like a puffy. The two
Okay.
layer again. Steve Zieber actually he came up with the idea. He wanted me to make one for him, and sure enough, he did thermal testing. He said it was by far like the best warmth to weight ratio of an alpha garment because the two layers
Yeah.
really trap heat between with the loft. And
Yeah.
it's been a big hit for us. Do really small batches of those a couple times a year, and they always sell really quick. And for good reason.
Yeah.
They're fantastic garments. Um,
Yeah.
but for sunwear, initially, like on the CT, I had worn the Vorme River Run hoodie, which was at the time, I think it is one of the lightest at 100 GSM. It's one of the lightest merino blend sun jerseys you can find. It's a proprietary, which I think a lot of their fabrics are. Uh, the only one, they're the only ones working with the fabric. They own the rights to the fabric. Unlike Alpha Direct, which is a Polartec fabric, and anyone who you reach out to Mill Direct and you can any Polartec fabric from them. Um, but yeah, so I was wearing the Borneo River, which still is an awesome. It's a sun jersey hoodie at
Yeah.
100 GSM. Which you won't find a sun or you won't find a jersey fabric, at least a merino blend that's 100 GSM. You might find a fully synthetic, but I personally
Yeah.
wouldn't. I wouldn't wear fully synthetic jersey because when you start to sweat in it, it almost feels like a shower curtain. Like
Oh, okay.
100%, yeah, 100% poly jersey. I've just never been into it, and I'm not throwing any shade. I know a lot of people work with 100% jersey for sunwear,
Yeah.
and some of it can be really really nice, but I've made at least 40% merino involved with my sunwear, and so
Yeah.
um, I had found a merino blend. My personal favorite blend is 90% merino, 10% nylon. That's going to give you, the
Okay.
nylon's going to give you durability, and then you get all the benefits of the merino with 90%.
Yeah.
Um, and so I found some, we were ordering it from New Zealand, but then when tariffs set in and some other costs, um, we weren't able to really pick it up from there anymore. But we've actually just been working with that we're going to release. We're going to pick one of them and release a new sunwear
Yeah.
for next spring. And I
Oh,
think we
cool.
found a winner. It's at like 120 GSM, really nice. I'm about to send a couple out to a couple buddies that do a lot of like rock climbing, and they're full exposure in the sun.
Yeah.
How it holds up, but I'm pretty sure we found a good one. Um, but yeah,
Sweet.
so Polartec does make a fabric called Power Wool. It comes in 150 GSM and then 100 GSM. And the Power Wool 100 is also a really nice fabric. We sell it in color red rock and a lemonade, but that's a really nice, very lightweight merino blend. It's actually
Yeah.
it's unique. Most fabrics they blend the fabric content, but Power Wool is a synthetic face with a merino back. So it's a pretty
Okay.
design and very creative of Polartec to make. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
So,
I'm going to be doing some factory tours, hopefully soon, on the pod, for
nice.
video. We'll still do the audio version of it as well, but we're going to be touring some textile factories and everything. And I'm just so amazed by how they make certain materials. Like you said, like
Oh
it's
yeah.
not woven together. It's like backing and everything. Um, did you ever run into, other than that one time you kind of phased out that one material, for people who are, I guess this is more on a style side, maybe, but now that we talked about the material, but do you find you have to keep up with a certain style? I know that trail styles especially change every once in a while. Are you more so changing material, or are you looking at it and going, "Oh, I need to change the way that this fits this year versus other years?" Like how do you as a designer follow trends and stuff like that?
So so as we've seen as we've seen the rise of Alpha Direct, a lot of people, the number one complaint is that Alpha, it sheds a lot. It does a lot of pilling, and it can vary. I've seen it vary from roll to roll, even like between 60 and 90, 120. The
Yeah,
190, when we work with the 190 weight, when you're surgeon, I mean, this stuff is all over the place. So it is a messy
yeah,
fabric. And the biggest problem is that all of that shedding is just microplastics. It's 100% polyester fabric, which does really
yeah,
well for fleece. As I said earlier, not that good for sunwear, but fantastic for fleece. Um,
yeah,
and and so for a while, I've been looking for a solution, trying to figure out a way to kind of deal with that. How can we, as a community, we love the outdoors, but this this new ultralight fabric is pretty much polluting. Um,
yeah.
how can we deal with that? And I've been going to different fabric trade shows over the years, and the fabric you're wearing is the one that we just released in May. It's called Techno Wool, and so it's different. It's not a Polytech fabric, and it
Yeah.
comes in three weights. Um, I initially saw, I think you pronounce it Newer or Gooer, that really like hip brand
Okay.
out of Portland. They were working with like a 150 weight version of it, and then I
Yeah.
got in touch with the mill that produces the fabric, and they showed me that they had just started making a 60, a 90, and a 120 weight. And so then in May is when we did our initial release in all three weights,
Yeah.
um, which is pretty much what Alpha Direct people, almost everyone leans towards the 90 weight, and for good reason.
Yeah.
It's great all around fabric. And so we did the initial release. We did exclusive wholesale with garage grown gear, and we both saw excellent results. People seem to really love it. It's around 40. All three weights they have different fabric content, but they're almost all of them are around 40% wool.
Yeah.
Um, and which around 40% wool is when you really start to see the benefits of wool. It has the temperature
Okay.
regulation, especially in big swings. If you're dealing with really hot and really cold temps throughout the day, it regulates really well. Antimicrobial, so especially for long distance trekking, 2 3
Yeah.
weeks you could be wearing the Techno Wool, and it still feels and smells fresh when
Yeah.
100% poly. You can put it on, it's gonna your body odor is gonna linger.
Yeah.
Um, which that happens, but yeah. And then my my favorite part of the Techno Wool is that it has a four-way stretch, and so there's a stretch up and down, and so you really feel it
Oh
in
yeah.
the upper body, in the shoulders. We're actually just about to start our second production, and we're gonna offer camp pants this round. And so
Oh, sweet.
I've I've been wearing some pants here at the cabin. It still gets kind of crazy. It's still getting into the 40s at night here, and
Wow.
yeah, I know it's wild. But the pants with that four-way stretch, they have a really really nice fit. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, we're gonna offer camp pants in the Techno Wool, and hoodies and crew necks, and it it sheds way less than Alpha Direct, and Alpha Direct is still a fantastic fabric, especially if you're looking for the lightest, and it's hydrophobic. Techno Wool, due to
Okay.
the wool content, it does hold moisture a bit more, but um, wet wool still keeps you warm, which is nice.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and so there's a lot less shedding with it. Um, and I think as far as trends, as far as the future of technical wear, I think a lot of it is moving towards blended fabrics rather than all synthetic. and
Yeah.
we're seeing some mills get really creative with their designs, with their weaves, and I think the future of technical fabric is blended, um, and so we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes. I know we do work directly with Polartec as well, and towards the end of the year, they're releasing an alpha wool blend um, that's that's actually made for a standalone garment. There is like an alpha wool on the market right now. Some of the smaller cottage companies are working with it, but Polartec said that that fabric was made specifically for like a liner and for like
Okay.
jackets and stuff. And so it's I know some people have seen success as far as making hoodies, but it definitely pills really hard. After 2 or 3
Yeah.
wears, you see all of it pilling quite a bit. And so we work with it for hoodies, and we used to make fingerless gloves. Um, we never put it into production for hoodie. We use it for beanies. I'm sorry, we've made it beanie
Okay.
production for hoodies, um, specifically because of the pilling problem it has. It's like it sheds way more than alpha. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and so Polartec also
Okay.
is addressing the shedding issue. They're releasing an Alpha Direct 2.0. I think they said probably around the beginning of next year they're going to release. And we got they actually sent some of the fabric, and we made a couple garments with it. Um, and it's really there is a lot less shedding going on with it, and so I'm excited to see when that really rolls out into the market to see how the community responds to it. It's a good
Yeah.
fabric, so.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I like that you're not only innovating, but you're also looking at the future of materials. Because I think a lot of people just kind of sit there and go, okay, I'm going to stay with this. And I've met a lot of companies that they just stay with one thing and they never innovate it. They think it's done. And I think the people that are successful are those people who are like, okay, I need to innovate this thing, or what else is coming up next, so that you can keep. You're going to also keep your customers interested in what you're doing too. You know, it's not just yourself. It's like, hey, what can I make better for my customer? And your customer realizes, hey, oh, he cares or she cares about what I'm making, or what my customers are wearing and stuff like that. So that's really cool. So I guess now going into maybe an oh crap moment for you. Like, was there, since you've been going for the last few years now, what is like one big kind of oh crap moment you've had over the years that you can share with everybody?
So when we first went to the shop and started hiring people, um, I had I I hadn't taken out any loan. I had done this all from just like doubling down on my money.
Yeah.
Um, and so, I used to work I was working in a restaurant prior to starting FarPointe, and then COVID hit, and I got my COVID money, and that's when I bought a little bit of fabric with that. And so I've just been
Okay.
doubling down and never took out a business loan. And so by the time we hired on like 4 people to really step up production the first time, so like the first year in the shop, um, there was a few moments where I was like, oh boy, like cash flow is getting tight as we're trying to
Yeah.
finish a large wholesale order, but we're going through
Yeah.
payroll. And so there was a
Yeah.
few of those. And so keeping an eye on cash flow
Yeah.
um, can be a difficult thing, especially in the early days of a
Yeah.
business. Um,
Yeah. So like, hey guys, I'll buy pizza for you, but I can't pay your wages for the next 2 weeks
yeah,
until the cash flow comes back in.
yeah. Luckily that it didn't get to that point, but yeah, it
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
it got low, and I was like, oh, buddy. And
Yeah.
but when we decided that we were going to roll out the Technowool fabric and offer this whole new product line, that's when I looked into getting my first business loan, pretty much just to cover the
Yeah.
expense of the Technowool. And
Yeah.
it was pretty funny. It was almost like my business bank was like waiting for me to just ask them for money because I was like, hey, I need what to me seemed like a lot of money. And they're like, yeah, no worries. And I was like, do you
Yeah.
want to see any paperwork or
Yeah.
anything? Like, no, 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 no. Here you go. It's in
Yeah.
your account. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I took out my first loan like late last year to
Yeah.
really start working with Technowool. And
Yeah. I feel like they're
yeah,
watching your bank. I get phone calls from my bank every once in a while, and they're like, "Hey, just wanted to talk about your business." I'm like, What do you care?" And then I'm like,
yeah,
"Oh, they see the money coming in, so they're like, hey, we know that we can lend him money because he's going to
yeah,
definitely be able to pay it back." So,
yeah, yeah, they definitely do.
um,
Yeah.
so I think transitioning into how, like, you as an outdoors person now, I know you're recording at your cabin right now, so maybe that's the answer to my question. But like, what are some ways that you still stay connected to the outdoor industry now that you're running a company and you're busy looking after your employees and everything else?
So I try to get outside every day for at least an hour. Even in the winter, if it's raining, just get out there. I do a lot of running, especially trail running. I got my little blue healer, and so he pretty much demands it as well. Um,
Yeah,
and so getting outside, testing fabrics. There's been a bunch, there's been a handful of fabrics where I tested and we just never even rolled out into production because
yeah,
it just doesn't. I like to think of like me as a consumer, and if I'm not happy with it, then the community isn't going to be
yeah,
happy with it. And so
yeah.
trying to get out as much as possible. I love backpacking. Like this coming weekend, I'm going to do the Timberline. Um, in
Oh,
August,
cool.
couple good
Yeah,
friends are coming out. We're going to do Goat Rocks. I actually got a really big route in Goat Rocks planned. It's like a lollipop. So we'll go over Knife's Edge twice. And my brother's going to be with us and he likes to fish. So
yeah.
we'll stay at a couple different lakes.
Oh, awesome.
And then September, hopefully I'll do 2 weeks on the PCT southbound from Washington. Um, and so yeah, just getting outside as much as possible. It's
Yeah,
what got me started in this, and you never really want to lose sight of that. I just love
yeah,
sleeping under the stars, you know. So
yeah. Do you think that I feel like most creative people, like you have going outside really helped. Like I just got back from a trip, like I mentioned, and I feel like I have 100 different ideas because you have all that time on trail. Or when we just got to camp, we just sat there and looked at the mountains for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 hours. And I never usually get that. Usually I get to camp and it's, you know, 30 minutes before it's pitch black outside. So I'm running and setting up my tent. And I don't get to enjoy the views. I get to enjoy the views on the way there, but I don't get to enjoy the actual campsite. And I was like, oh, we get to enjoy this space. So do you feel like you come up with a lot of ideas on trail by connecting on the outdoors when you go out?
now, funny enough, when I'm on trail, I try not to think at all about business
Yeah.
or capitalism, and
Yeah.
I'll yeah, I really like you said, I'll just take in the scenery and just kind of
Yeah.
relax and try to decompress actually. And
Yeah.
um but I guess yeah, your creative mind does get going. And we started, well, we haven't really started making, it's like an alpha argon overbag. But I would do a lot of shoulder season hiking and you'd wake up in your sleeping bag soaking wet no matter what.
Yeah.
And I wanted to start making this overbag to kind of absorb all that moisture and take you know, take care of that. And
Yeah.
I had seen Timmermade was making one, and I think Timmermade's a really amazing cottage brand. He does some really really
Yeah.
cool innovative stuff. Um, and so I made a couple for me and my buddy for winter hiking, and they're just fantastic. It's a great
Yeah.
product. Um, I'm thinking about releasing it. Maybe I'm not sure. It's definitely been on my mind, but
Yeah.
expanding into non-stretch nylons has been an idea for a little bit. A wind jacket,
Yeah.
the overbag. Yeah, there's some cool products out there, but yeah,
That's cool. I like that you're thinking future, which is awesome. And I think I like the fact that you said when you go out on the trail, you're like, hey, I'm not actually thinking, I'm trying to disconnect from everything so you can decompress. So when you do come back, you're fresh instead of just your brain keeps going and then you realize, oh, I didn't get to enjoy the thing that started the company in the first place, the outdoors.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Um, what I guess the last question before we go into our kind of lightning round, what's some like very unique spots that you've maybe seen your product since since your business has been open? Have you seen it like the most random thing you can think of that you've seen your product, or maybe a great customer story that really stood out to you?
Um, I've seen it on the Timberline a few times. I usually do the Timberline like 4 times a year, with different routes, different speeds. Um,
Yeah.
so it's fun seeing it out there, which is probably one of my favorite Oregon hikes. One of the one of the craziest times I saw one of our products, I was hiking down on the Illinois River, which is down in the Kalmiopsis wilderness. It's very rugged, very
Yeah.
isolated kind of area. And I've been down there over, I don't know, almost 2 dozen times over the years.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone on trail. And me and a buddy are down there and we see this one dude and he's got this huge pack and it was like a raft pack. He had like a blow up raft with him.
Okay.
And we stop and we're talking to him and he's heading towards a river that we just decided not to cross because it was way too deep and absolutely freezing cold. And
Yes.
my buddy's like, that river's gonna kill me. I can't get in there. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's just let's turn around. We'll figure out a different route. And we run into this guy and he's heading towards that river. And we talk to him for a bit. And then he's like, hey, aren't you at the end of it? He's like, aren't you the FarPointe guy? And I was like, yeah, I am. That's crazy. And he's like, yeah, I just bought one of your
That's cool.
120 Alpha hoodies. And I mean, it was the one and only time I ever seen someone on this trail. And he like
Yeah.
recognized me. And that was kind of cool. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Real
No,
badass
that's cool.
guy.
That
He
makes
was,
you feel like, yeah,
yeah.
it makes you feel like $1 million when you're like, oh, they recognize the product and the person behind it. And of all the things to see that random dude on the trail, you're like, what? I don't see anybody. And the one guy that I see on the trail is like, hey, I
Yeah.
know you from somewhere. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really cool. Well, I mean, Joe, thank you so much. I mean, I learned so much about, FarPointe material wise. I learned a ton too, but just the process of it and everything else is great to see that you guys are growing and the future looks really good. And I'm sure people who are listening who are like into the outdoors, not just companies, they're probably going, I can't wait to get whatever he's about to come out with. So I'm sure if they have any suggestions, they'll probably DM you on Instagram or shoot you an email.
Yep.
You probably get
Yeah.
suggestions all the time, I would think, right?
Yeah, yeah. We do actually, and I always appreciate it. Even from like,
Yeah.
hey, you should make this little change on your website to make it easier to understand, or here's a
Yeah.
fabric that I think would be really awesome, or this or that product. I always love any feedback, any suggestions. And
Yeah.
I try my best to respond personally to most of that stuff. Um, yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
awesome.
Well, if anybody's looking for FarPointe, where can they find FarPointe and get some gear?
Our biggest partner is Garage Grown Gear. We've been working with them from the start. Long-standing relationship with them. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, and then overseas, there's a couple companies, Far Lights. We're about to start working with Outdoor Line UK, I believe. And
Okay.
then yeah, there's Ult or what is it? Pod Kilo 7. That's a UK company as well.
Okay.
I know importing to the UK can be really uh, kind of a nightmare as far as
Yeah.
tariffs and all these different costs. So we try to work with different companies around the world to try to help with
Yeah.
that. So yeah,
Awesome. Perfect.
yeah,
Well, we're gonna run right into the rapid fire round, just to get to know you a little bit more. I think you love the Timberline Trail. I know that for a fact. So let's go
yeah.
first into your favorite national park.
Oh, I'd say up in the Olympic Peninsula. I don't know. I think it is just the Olympic Peninsula, but I love it up there.
Yeah.
before I got my dog, because dogs aren't allowed, but I was doing a really big route up there a couple times a year. And it's just, yeah, the Olympic Peninsula is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Feels very ancient.
Yeah.
Um, I always hike the southern section with the, what is that river? Can't remember now. But I never been on the north, which I know is the more popular side.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would do
That's the
these
only side I've
southern
ever been
routes.
on is the north side of that. So
Yeah, yeah, which is gorgeous. I think I actually was out there one time, but um, yeah, doing these like 50-mile loops on the southern side, that puts you up on these like primitive ridge trails, back down to the river, back up over passes.
yeah,
It's uh, just unbelievable. It's wonderful.
that's awesome. All right. Next question is mountains, coast, trees, or desert?
My hands down, my favorite type of trail is going to be a ridge trail. And so I just
Yeah.
love being up in the mountains. If I could hike a ridge all day long, yeah, that would be the
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
It's so cool to be up on the ridge and just, it's a completely different view. I there's one trail I want to do. I can't remember what it is, but it's over in Italy that I can't wait to go back and do that. I kind of found the trail when I was out there with my wife. We didn't end up going up because we are having such a great time at the
Right.
cabin that we got with the hot tub and the sauna and everything. And I was like, okay, well, we'll do it another time. So no, I hear you. And the trip I went on, we were supposed to be on the ridge for most of the last 2/3 of it. Were mostly on the ridge, and we just ended up having to tweak that trip because of the storms. But um,
Yeah.
that's cool. All right, next is, what's your favorite trail snack?
Oh, probably peanut butter M&Ms. You just can't beat them. They
Okay.
don't melt.
Yeah.
They're just, yeah, they're awesome. I love peanut butter
Okay.
M&Ms. Yeah.
And what's your worst trail snack you ever tried?
Oh man, I can't do Cliff Bars anymore. Um, they got really gross. Uh, and there was something else. I can't remember what was it. I just ate it way too much on trail, and I'm like, oh, this is so gross now.
Yeah.
I can't remember. On the
Just
CT, I
before we
ate.
got on, I was eating like I eat these all the time,
Oh,
right?
those are
And I
great.
love them on trail, but
Yeah.
I was like trying to have one before because these are out of date. So I was like, okay, I need to eat these before I have to throw them out. And I got 5 more left. So I'm eating it before I got on with you. And I was like, oh, I don't like it right now. I was like, maybe I just need to be
Yeah.
on trail for it to taste good.
Yeah.
Um, not saying not saying that pro meal bars are bad. I'm just saying I just didn't want it right now.
No, yeah. Just need a couple
um,
miles
okay.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just go out in the backyard and run around the house a few times, and I'll just be like super stoked to eat one.
Yeah.
All right, next is, if you could collab with any brand, who would it be and why?
Oh man. Maybe someone who's working with like sleeping bags or something, because I love to really roll out that the overbag.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think it'd be really fun working with someone who's already got experience with that kind of stuff. Um,
yeah,
the few I made were kind of, kind of a pain in the butt, but they turned out
yeah,
good. But yeah, a sleeping bag company would be awesome. Maybe Feathered Friends or Western Mountaineering. I love
yeah.
those guys. Yeah, that would be awesome.
That's awesome. What's one of the biggest purchases you ever made for your business?
Biggest purchase? Oh man, some of our fabric orders, they've been really expensive, and
Yeah.
never in my life did I think I'd be spending that kind of money, but here we are, and yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
fabric throughout 2026 has been easily the biggest thing I've ever purchased. So
yeah. That's crazy. And it's only going to get bigger, right? You're going to look back and be like, man, I said that, and then 2 years later, you're gonna be like, man, look, I bought 4 times as much as I did last time.
that'd be
So,
wild.
and what's one word your team would use to best describe you?
Um, I hopefully patient would be nice. I I'd hope they
Yeah.
say he's a patient, he's a kind boss. I try to be I think we've all had jobs where your boss is an absolute maniac and you're like, man, this
Yeah.
job would be so much better if he wasn't screaming at
Yeah.
people or whatever. And
Yeah.
I really try to be the boss that I would want. Um, and so I try to be very understanding. You got to be firm, and like we said earlier, it's strictly
Yeah.
business. If you got to let somebody go, um,
Yeah.
but I'll always be kind, and I would never yell at someone. I would never like ask rhetorical questions like, "Well, why did you do that?" And yeah, just
Yeah.
treat people with respect. It's very important, and it
Yeah.
goes a long way. Yeah.
That's cool. That's almost, you just gave me some good parenting advice right there too for my kids. I should stop
Yeah.
doing the rhetorical question thing.
Yeah, they're not gonna like it, no.
No, they won't. Well, awesome. I mean, Joe, thank you so much for being on. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to Beyond the Trailhead again this week. And we look forward to seeing everybody out on the trail, and enjoy the Timberline Trail next
Thank
week,
you.
Joe. You're going to have a blast.